From St. Joseph, Missouri, here is Travis Lee Hartman.
I don't know how we're going to lead into this, but what's your shirt say? Way fresh beer. Or
very fresh beer. It's from a brewery, Crushed by Giants.
That's
in
not
Chicago.
that bad.
No, it's not bad. It depends on your palate.
I think mine's melted.
We haven't
in there,
anything.
probably.
We haven't had anything that hot in a bit.
That's what she said.
That could be. That's probably it. That's our lead in. Weighing in with Travis Hartman, episode 38. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just double checking we're recording, and we are. Weekend Trav over there. I'll give you your time. Just hold on. Okay. B Money, the producer. We are here at the TH Boxing facility. I feel like it's been a bit since it's just been you and me and you.
Ooh, together forever. No, that's a different one.
I don't remember. So anyways, we are here. We have a lot to talk about today, folks. So depending on when you're seeing this, subscribe below. Hit it, smash it, love it. Smack it with whatever you got. Hit the thumb up.
That's what he said.
That is what somebody said. I don't know. So appreciate the support to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. As always, thank you so much. So Weekend Trav, let's just get this out of the way now. Okay. Show me what you're working with.
Show me what you're working with, Carl. Okay. So B Money didn't know about this outfit until he comes walking in.
Never. Once again, I think the folks that listen to us all the time know I don't know about these things. For the listening audience, I'm looking at a man who's wearing a onesie. A onesie. It's a red onesie with American flags and fireworks going off all over it.
Because
short sleeve shirt, onesie with a zip up.
'Cause America.
And this is...
It's pretty bright, huh?
One of many reasons why the rest of the world hates us.
Is this why we're getting shadow banned? Because we love America so much that Weekend Trav dresses up and shows his love for America?
I do love America. F yeah. Love that movie. So anyways, that's the Weekend Trav get up today.
I got another one too for next week as well.
Great. Good. Thank you for the hint at that.
The warning.
So the warning is there's a warning label I think on this episode already. Parental advisory. Parental advisory. So anyways, we are here. We are here for you guys. I was about to say something else just because of your outfit. Anyways, Weekend Trav, cigar and everything. You're channeling the old Slick Willie over there.
You know, there was an old boxing dude. His name was Burt Sugar. Like, what a cool name anyway. Burt Sugar. Great boxing mind, like a historian. Passed away like 3 or 4 years ago, I believe. But the dude always had a cigar. Of course, with the name Burt Sugar, I feel like cigar is probably for sure, but I always had a cigar. So, I don't know. I kind of want to channel my inner Burt Sugar today.
That's cool. You don't have...
It's not lit. I'm just...
Yeah, but you don't have cool names anymore. Where are the cool names at? I mean, Tyson Fury is a cool name. I mean, that's a boxer's name, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like,
yeah.
Tyson, anything Tyson is definitely a boxer.
But Fury.
Yeah.
So
he's going to unleash the fury on Joshua.
And we're not even talking about them today. So we're going to talk about a handful of things. If you caught our last episode, we had given you some updates on some fights that were happening this weekend that just occurred. We are filming on Monday. And so there are a couple of big matches that happened on Saturday. I'm going to toss it over here to Weekend Trav so we can talk about those and just kind of get your take on the way those turned out. And then going forward, what are we looking at into the next few weeks here? So Weekend Trav, give us an update. What occurred all on DAZN on Saturday?
Hold on, let me take a cigar. Okay, so what happened was...
You enjoyed that way too much, by the way. I think I saw your tongue roll.
All right, easy, Tiger.
What? There he is.
Okay, so DAZN, Vergil Ortiz at 147 welterweight fought Maurice Hooker, who is actually a former world champion. And Maurice Hooker, we'll talk more about this later, but Maurice Hooker was being trained by Terrence Crawford's trainer and manager, Brian McIntyre. So Terrence Crawford was in attendance, by the way, ringside. However, Vergil Ortiz won by 7th round knockout. I predicted a 4th round knockout. However, it was still a knockout, but I predicted 4th round, so I missed the round, but I knew it was going to be a knockout. I just knew it was going to be a knockout. And it was a good knockout. Like, Maurice Hooker is a good fighter. He was a world champion, so I can't talk crap on him because he was a world champion. I think he only lost one fight before this as well. So this is only his second loss. So Vergil Ortiz was 16-0 with 16 knockouts. Now he's 17-0 with 17 knockouts. And we spoke briefly about him last episode, and he's only 22 years old.
Really under the radar. That guy is really under the radar.
He's catching a lot of momentum now, and a lot of people are watching him because you don't see that often nowadays. 17-0 with 17 knockouts, especially in the welterweight division. So this kid, he's definitely the next coming of the division. However, I will say that I wasn't like crazy impressed, even though he did stop Maurice Hooker. I don't know. There was something. I think he needs a little bit of time still because they brought up in the post-fight interview, hey, Terrence Crawford's ringside. Would you like to fight him? And the guy's really classy and humble. Vergil Ortiz is. He was just like, you know what? I'll fight whoever they put me in front of, blah, 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 all this other stuff. So I don't think he's ready for a Terrence Crawford. But to be fair, not very many people are ready for a Terrence Crawford. But he's still young. He's only 22 years old. If he's smart, he waits till the Errol Spences and Terrence Crawfords get a little bit older. And they're kind of on the downslide, which even those guys on the downside are still great, if we're being honest. But I think he needs to wait for those guys to kind of go on the downside a little bit more, and he needs to get a little bit more fights under his belt because he's only 17-0. I mean, like, the guy's only 17-0. So he's still super young. I mean, Terrence Crawford's 30-0. Like, all these guys.
Sure.
Errol Spence, I think Errol Spence is in the 20s, 23 or 24-0. So he needs a little more experience.
But still at 22, right?
Yeah, 22 years old.
Yeah, that's a
Kid's
pretty
got
solid
raw
record.
power, though. Raw power, can fight, he's got a chin. He was a little marked up.
Yep.
Maurice Hooker actually touched him a little bit. He was a little marked up. So the kid can fight. The kid's got a chin, of course. He comes from a Mexican background, and it's very, very well known in the boxing community is most Mexicans have a chin. Like, you never see a Mexican with a glass chin. You never see a Mexican with a chin like Amir Khan. Guys that get knocked out easy. You just don't. They're usually tough. They're gritty. They fight their butts off. And I would say Vergil Ortiz is definitely on that same level as most Mexican fighters.
Yeah.
He might be above it. We'll see. It's still early, but he's only 22. But he is 17-0, 17 knockouts.
And so I saw some video footage after the fights, to your point, humble, that sort of thing. So that tells you, he still has a lot of career left before he gets not humble like a lot of these guys are. But spent a couple hours just with the fans after, even before getting back to the hotel, signing stuff, doing all the right stuff, all the PR stuff. So to me, humility is a big thing for me in sports. He still has it. That's awesome. My question, though, for him, what do you think is the next step for a guy like this who people probably aren't aware of? Well, they're starting to now.
Maybe now. He headlined a DAZN card.
Yeah, but where does he go next?
I don't think he wants the level of the Terrence Crawfords, Errol Spences, or any of those guys, or even the Sean Porters. He's not there yet. I think he still needs a couple more stepping stones for sure. And I don't know exactly who that is, but Goldenboy is very smart. De La Hoya is very smart about who he puts his fighters in with. And I think they have a very, very good chance to build another Canelo type of fighter with that Mexican background and that Mexican following. So whoever he fights next, they better be really careful. I think they're going to be very, very careful. They're going to match him properly.
Right.
But I don't think he should fight a big fight for a couple of years, to be honest. I think he needs another year or so of more seasoning. If they want to bring this kid along correctly, give him another year or two, 4, 5, 6 more fights, and then put him in a big-time fight, like a Crawford fight or a Spence fight or any of the welterweights. I mean, you have everybody out there now. You have Danny Garcia. You have Keith Thurman still. You still have Manny Pacquiao there. So hopefully Manny Pacquiao will be retired by the time he actually gets to that level. But he's got a lot of opportunities at welterweight to make some noise if he wanted to. And Oscar De La Hoya is a pretty solid matchmaker in the fact that Canelo fights everybody.
Yep.
So I hope that we see the same with Vergil Ortiz. And the way Oscar's been talking, he believes in Vergil Ortiz, so he doesn't mind putting him with the tough fights. So we'll see. I'm watching this guy's career really close. So I can't wait to see what he's got, because Welterweight division, we got a lot of guys at 30 years old, which is Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, all those guys at 30 years old. So we need that young crop coming up, and we have it now.
Yeah, now you have it. I mean,
Goldenboy
Goldenboy has their 2 golden gooses for sure between Vergil Ortiz as well as Ryan Garcia, and possibly looking at building on a third one. Just looking at how it's been with attendance over the past few events, and you see your boy Bud Crawford in the stands, and we're not sure yet. We know there's been a bit of discontent with his current setup, but we see him at all the recent Goldenboy.
He's been the last 2.
Yeah. So I don't know, Weekend Trav. Thoughts? Maybe an inside track. You got anything for us?
I think that promoters like Oscar De La Hoya recognizes real talent, and he knows that Terrence Crawford is the real deal, and he also knows because Oscar De La Hoya first signed a contract with Bob Arum.
That's right.
So I guarantee you him and Terrence Crawford have had the same conversations as what Oscar De La Hoya went through. And I want to go out on a limb again and tell you that no chance Terrence Crawford re-signs with Bob Arum. At the end of this year when that contract is up, I cannot see him. And if he does, like if he re-signs with Bob Arum, I'm literally thinking that he's throwing the towel in on his career.
Yeah.
And he is okay riding off in the sunset and fighting nobody.
Well, it's interesting.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
Now, it's interesting because what came out over the past 24, 48 hours was on both Terrence Crawford's side and Errol Spence's side. They're both saying, this fight ain't happening.
Yep.
We're done. They're both done with each other, and that's it.
They're done with and that's the negotiation process.
Right.
They're just like, I'm over. Like he either wants to fight or he doesn't want to fight, and they're both saying that. Yet they both at the beginning were like, let's fight. I'm down.
Yeah.
Now I think that's also why boxers box, promoters promote, because I can tell you firsthand that as a pro boxer myself, I didn't have a big-time promoter, so I got really burnt out on the promotion side of everything and the negotiating contracts and all of that. As a boxer and a promoter pretty much myself, I was self-managed and self-promoted too. So I can tell you that part of it does burn you out. And honestly, I don't think Bob Arum's promoting Terrence Crawford, so I think Terrence Crawford has been on the front lines of this negotiation process, and he's probably just like, you want to fight or not? And they're like, yeah, we'll fight 70-30 or something, what they were saying. And I think Terrence Crawford is like, I'm not doing that. And I agree with him. I think a fair split, in my opinion, is 55-45. 55 to Errol Spence, 45 to Crawford. Because based on the ratings, ticket sales, and all of that stuff, Errol Spence is the bigger draw.
Sure.
Is he the better fighter? No, I don't think so. But he's the bigger draw. And at the end of the day, entertainment, and it's a business.
I think you're right, because sound bites nowadays go miles with the advent of social media, everything. These guys don't have to say a whole heck of a lot, and then knuckleheads like you and me are talking about it, right? So, I mean, they had, I couldn't tell if I was looking at pictures from the fight or not. Was Errol Spence also in attendance on that one?
I don't know if he was or not. I think he was because it was in Texas. It was in Texas, and that's where he's from.
I saw a photo of them kind of having an exchange with one another, I thought. Maybe that was an old photo. Either way,
it could have been old because they've met before.
For both of them to say it's off, that soundbite catches fire, and then you got guys on Instagram.
Yeah,
you got
to be
guys
fair,
like us talking.
Errol wasn't there because he's not with Goldenboy, so he wouldn't even go to a show because he's with Al Heyman, and I know he wouldn't even go there, even though it was in Texas, and he's a Texas guy. He's from Houston or Dallas. I think he's from Houston, but anyway, he's a Texas guy. Errol Spence is so. He wasn't there for sure, but Crawford was.
Yeah,
Crawford was ringside.
He was.
They had a couple of cameos there showing Crawford quite a bit.
Yeah, so something's going to start going on, I think, towards the end of the year with Crawford and his contract. And if these suitors actually want him and are going to use him, then why not? And if it's possibly a 1 to 2 fights down the road and he sets up with someone like Vergil Ortiz, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, I mean, listen. There's a lot of fights that are still exciting. There's only 2 fights. Actually, there's only 1 fight I want to see is Terrence Crawford with Errol Spence.
Sure.
That's the only one I want to see. If he has to fight like a guy like Sean Porter, I don't like the fight because I don't personally like Sean Porter's style. But the guy, he will make you be great because if you're not great, you're not going to beat him.
Right.
He will, and he's more than good. I don't think Sean Porter is great, but he's right on the just on the cusp of it. He always makes people great.
But as you said last week, that might be the fight that you need and other people need to cement his current pound-for-pound ranking number one, is by having a fight like that tests him, that pushes him to the limit. Because you're right, Sean Porter will push him to the limit. I think Terrence Crawford wins that, but it's not going to be a fun one. It's not going to be an easy one.
It's going to be a dog
grind.
fight.
It's going to be a grind.
He's going to have to grind that fight out because Sean Porter's in your chest. He's not knocking Sean Porter out. He's not. And Sean Porter is a grind. Like he is an in-your-face bulldog type of fighter, and he makes it tough and rough, and he makes you earn every single round that you win against that guy. He makes you earn it. Yeah. And it's fair. But it's not an exciting fight to watch for the fans. It's just not. But Crawford is kind of limited because he's with Bob Arum. All those welterweights we're talking about, even Sean Porter, I believe, is with Al Heyman, who Errol Spence is with as well. So all of those fights are hard to make because, all those fights are hard to make is because most of the welterweights in the division are not with Top Rank.
Right.
Pacquiao, not with Top Rank. Used to be a long time ago, not with Top Rank. Bob Arum doesn't have a big welterweight depth who signed with him. He just doesn't. So it makes it almost impossible, and that's what sucks because I think Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the best in the world, but he's not proving that to the average fan, to the expert fan. He's not proving it, even though I think he has the ability and he's there. We got to see it, though. Again, I'm from Missouri. It's the show me state.
I think one of those two fights needs to happen, either a Sean Porter or Errol Spence, but they're playing a little chicken with one another at this point.
And I think it's
not in the fear component, but like the game of chicken.
And I think it's the promoters, man. The promoters holding it up. You got Bob Arum, doesn't negotiate well with Al Heyman. They're not together. They don't do a lot of shows together, but we'll see. Maybe they'll put their crap aside and maybe old, angry, bitter Bob Arum will make a deal. Because he made an offer to Sean Porter already. He wanted to pay him like $1 million to fight Crawford, and Sean Porter's like, I'm not going to take that for $1 million. Right. And I actually agree with him. Sean Porter's worth more than that.
Sure.
That fight is worth more than that. And Bob Arum's not even going to pay Terrence Crawford a lot more than that either. So I can see that fight not getting made either. Worst case scenario, I can see Terrence Crawford fighting somebody that none of us have ever heard of in his next fight, and he drops off my pound-for-pound ranking list.
Yeah.
If he announces, and he's going to, because he's got to have a fight coming up soon, they're going to announce a fight in the next, it's got to be in the next month for sure. I would imagine
he has to have a mandatory at some point, right?
Yeah, he does. And they don't have to fight mandatory. I hate the word when they call them mandatories.
They have to announce something.
Yeah, he's going to have a fight coming up. So they're going to announce a fight coming up. So we'll see. But I have this really, really bad feeling that Terrence Crawford is going to be on the shelf until his contract's over. I can even see him not fighting anybody. I can see him being like, I don't think I'm going to fight.
He might all of a sudden,
something.
Man, my shoulder is not feeling too good right now or something.
The thing with the contracts are, too, is he doesn't necessarily have to fight. He can wait that contract out and it'll expire. Yep. It's not a fight deal. It's a year deal, yearly deal. So
the last thing we need is for a top fighter to kind of be on the shelf and not fight over the next, call it 6 months or so, because it looks like we might have another one that's taken his name out of the hat. And that would be one Gervonta Tank Davis, correct?
Man, yes. I have talked about this guy. I think this guy in that 130, 135-pound division, the lightweight division, super lightweight division, I think that he's one of the talented ones in there. He knocked out Jose Luis Santa Cruz in the 6th or 7th round, I believe it was. Great fight. We all seen that.
Very close up to the knockout, huh?
Yeah. And I think Gervonta is that explosive, exciting person in the 130, 135-pound division, right? But I've said it a long time ago, and I'm going to continue in saying it. He doesn't have that long-term star ability because he has zero discipline outside the ring. And this is the bad news. He just got arrested and indicted on 14 counts. And what happened was, Davis was indicted on 14 counts in Baltimore Circuit Court. Police responded at about 1:55 a.m. November 5th for a crash between a 2020 Lamborghini and a 2004 Toyota Solara, according to the press release. I'm thinking that it took them this long, obviously, to build that case because it happened November 5th? So November 5th, and they just now arrested him.
Over 4 months ago, yeah.
On 14 counts.
Yeah.
He's guilty.
Well, because he fled the scene, hit and run,
hit a car,
all that
ran.
stuff. Yeah.
They picked up his. It's again. I'll repeat this. This is alleged. It has to be considered that, even though they arrested him and built a count, it's an alleged. He allegedly hit this Solara and then fled the scene, but they have him on camera. And usually, we were talking about this off air, usually when they indict you, they built a case.
Yeah.
And it's 14 counts against him. He's guilty. He's not going to. You know what? He actually might. They're going to stretch this out. So he's going to be okay for about a year because they'll stretch this out. Mm-hmm. They'll make this go as long as they can. And he's going to fight. In the middle of all this, he'll fight. So that could be, now that I think about it, that could be really good for this division because he's going to go to prison if he gets, even on a couple of those charges. They got 14 charges. If he gets a couple of those, he's serving prison time.
It probably won't be that long.
No,
though.
It'll be under 5 years, I think, probably.
Oh, easily. No,
so a couple of years at most.
It'll be a couple months. It won't be.
I don't know. On those counts, I think it's going to be a little bit.
No,
because there was bodily injury, and he left the scene. 14 counts.
Settlement stuff and crazy. I mean, listen,
they're going to settle.
They could figure all this stuff out. He won't be shelved for long. It's just the going to our point with him in past episodes. It's the discipline factor outside of the ring. He has talent, but when it comes to the personal side of things, listen, this is a week removed from him knocking out Santa Cruz, like folding him up like an accordion in the corner of a ring, and then he goes and knocks out a Toyota Solara. He is a knockout artist.
He definitely is. He's knocking out everything.
Everything.
He's the guy walking out and knocking literally everything out.
Yeah.
He sees something, boom, knocked out.
Boom,
game over.
gone.
Car,
gone.
knocked out. Get out of here. You see a stoplight, gone, knocked out. A fence, he knocked that fence down. He knocked the fence down too.
Yeah,
He's knocking everything out.
And then enough energy to run away. It's amazing. So yeah, that's not a good look by any means. And I think,
shouldn't be laughing. That wasn't funny.
No, but we are because we don't care. Well, we do, but we don't.
Because that's what I was going to say. More about him. His background is he's on camera at some big time fights or on TV of literally grabbing his baby mama at the time, girlfriend, whatever, dragging her out from ringside, out of a fight. So that's when I was just like, this guy, he's always involved in stuff, and unfortunately, when you can't get out of the streets get you. And I think that this kid, he grew up in Baltimore. He grew up in a rough area. He didn't have the best upbringing, the best surroundings, but at some point, you have to get out of that if you want to succeed. And he's stuck in that mentality to where now that he's got a little bit of money, a little bit of fame, he thinks he can get away from this stuff.
Isn't it?
No. Yes and no, yeah. Floyd kind of helps him train and helps promote him, but doesn't really do it. They fought back and forth too.
Okay.
Like they've had some like falling outs.
It's like
last they were together, they were good though, but they've had some pretty big falling outs.
It's like with a lot of, and not just fighters, not just athletes, but like just people getting out of your own way, right? You have all these opportunities in front of you. You've exceeded expectations. You have succeeded, right? And you're continuously seeing success. And this is not just athlete based, but others. You can't get out of your own way. Really?
It's sad.
Really? I mean, who's around you at 1 o'clock in the middle of the night, not the middle of the night, but late at night, 1 o'clock, who's around you that lets you get in the Lamborghini? No. I get it, he's a grown ass man, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have some. Every single person has like that one or two people that are around them that have been with them for the longest time, and they know when they're doing dumb stuff. And there's always that one person that actually can get through to a guy. Where's that guy at? You got this kid who is literally on the cusp of being a great 130 to 135 pounder. A great, not just good. He's got all of the makings and the star power with that knockout power of Santa Cruz to be great.
And let's be fair. It's 1 o'clock in the evening, and you're getting in a Lamborghini.
AM.
You ain't going 30 miles an hour down the street in a Lamborghini at 1 o'clock.
Nope.
No.
They say with all those charges, if convicted of all charges, Davis faces a potential maximum of 7 years and 55 days in prison.
Which won't happen. He'll barely get a slap on the wrist, but it's just something that follows you. It's just something.
Yeah, he's got a record though. That's the thing. He does have a record. It's not as he's not a first time.
It depends
offender.
how motivated the person that got hit in the Toyota will be with it.
At this point, though, I feel like even if that person pulls his charges back, I think the state picks the charges up, and that can happen usually.
So that's just like a bad look. Bad look on boxing in general. Bad look on Gervonta. I hope he can rebound from this and and the story gets better from here. But it's another incident, and I just don't see it happening.
I'm gonna bring this guy up again. but he's going down the same path
Oh, your
as
guy.
Adrian Broner.
Gosh darn it. Okay, let's change subjects because I know. First of
I
all,
know.
you always say you don't like talking
I know,
about
and
him,
I bring
but then
this
you
guy
talk
up.
about him.
That's his thing too. He keeps relevant, and sometimes that's all you need to keep getting fights. And this is how he does it because I'm talking about him. He's living rent free in Weekend Trav's head on weighing in with Travis
really
Harvey.
is.
He's living rent free.
He really is.
I feel like I have to talk about him because Gervonta's going down the same.
But the problem here is that weight division is loaded, so it's going to be very easy for people to say,
Cross him off. Yep.
I'm crossing you off,
Yep.
and I don't want to touch you. Sure, you could be an explosive knockout artist, exciting fight depending on who we match you up with, but if all that drama and baggage is tied to it, there's a lot of other people in that weight division.
Especially nowadays too, because people and promoters they're trying to stay away from that trouble because we're in a different time where the Me Too movement's a big deal, and he's already got some strikes against him with pulling this girl by her arm, literally I think she fell down and he was dragging her. Like, he's already got that on his record. He's got a lot of other stuff on his record. So now I can see a lot of promoters being pressured into staying away from him.
Yeah.
So if promoters won't put you in big fights, you're in trouble. They control everything. TV controls that stuff too. And TV is not necessarily, and this time, the era that we're in right now, the cancel culture, this guy is flirting with that line right now. And he might not even be up to the promoters. Television networks might be like, we do not want this guy on our network.
Right.
Especially when you have guys at that weight class like Devin Haney. Good dude. Solid guy. Teofimo Lopez. You don't see any of those guys getting in trouble outside the ring. Lomachenko. You never hear about them.
Nope.
They are so disciplined to their craft that they're not out being dumb.
Yep.
And make no mistake about it. Gervonta's being dumb. This is immature. I'm rich. I don't know how to act. It's 1:55 a.m. I think I'm bigger than the law. I think I'm bigger than God right now. I'm driving a 2020 Lamborghini, probably buzzed, probably was drinking, which is also probably why he left the scene as well, because he ran through a fence and everything else. I don't know this for sure. I'm just thinking at 1:55 a.m., what's he doing? No chance that he wasn't inebriated or something. That's also why he left the scene of the
Nothing
accident.
good. Weekend Trav, nothing good ever happens after 1 a.m.
My mom said nothing good ever happens after midnight.
Yeah.
Literally, she says, Travis, nothing. And you think about it, it might have been fun, but it wasn't good.
No.
There's a lot of fun that happens after midnight.
They kept this under wraps for a little while.
Right?
So
They built this case pretty quietly, so that's what scares me. That means that they mean business with this guy, and they might not let him off with a slap on the hand.
Well, we'll see what happens. Let's switch gears a bit. Let's go back to another fight recap, which is kind of a different class of individual. The gentleman, Chris Billum Smith.
Our main dude. That's right, over in England.
Our dude.
It was a double header that day on DAZN.
So we were calling a knockout. Didn't happen that way, but got a nice decision win.
Almost did.
What was it? 99-90 was kind of the scorecard.
He pretty much almost won every single round.
Yeah, I know there's some people not liking some of that, but you know what? He still got the W.
He did, and he took some shots too. I think he had a little bit black eye and stuff.
He did because he was out running this morning or
I
today.
saw that.
So
follow him on his Instagram, by the way, Chris Billum Smith.
Yeah, is it I don't know what the full name is. You might want to look that up.
Chris Billum. It's Chris Billum Smith or whatever. That's his name.
So either way, you can find him on our Instagram as we follow each other. Good dude out there. The McGuigan camp out there, and
Chris Billum.
Yep.
ChrisBillam. Give him a follow. The guy's verified. He's got a check mark. He's got 13,000 followers. And he only follows 1,300. And we're one of them.
So here's the thing. There was some criticism to the fight. Things along the lines of leaving his chin up. Things along those lines during the matchup. But, here's my takeaway from that. Gets the win. They get to go back, review the tape.
He's only 12-1.
Get to work on that stuff. If there's any group that I trust to help work those kinks out, it's those boys, the McGuigan guys.
You met them in person. You've seen these guys in person, in action. You got to listen to the knowledge and how these guys talk about boxing. They know their stuff. Plain and simple. They know their stuff.
So the typical internet troll that says, "Oh, he needs to work on all these things." These trolls that have never been in the ring, by the way.
It's easy from outside.
It's easy from outside, and if you're in there, it's a totally different story. I'm pretty sure they got it covered. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out. So, anyways, we're gonna try to have him on interview segment, the In This Corner soon. Just depends on getting our schedules lined up. So he got the W. So that was we'll put a feather in your cap for that weekend, Trav, but not exactly the way we thought.
It's not. I got the prediction right, but I didn't get the exact round. He did knock him down, I believe, twice in that round that I called the knockout. And I'm like, make me look good.
Yeah.
And then somehow, props to the guy, though. Props to the fighter. Decor, is that guy's name?
Yeah.
Props to him for rising to that occasion and getting up from those knockdowns.
Tough dude.
It must have been a really close fight if they were actually thinking that the scorecards were a little off, because he scored 2 knockdowns in it, Billum.
Yeah.
That alone is a 4-point difference right there, because
Yep.
you get 2 extra points. It's a 10-8 round automatically if you're winning that round. So he did it twice. That must have been a close fight then, because if it ended up only being like 99-90 or whatever, that's a close fight with 2 knockdowns, actually.
And as I mentioned, I wondered on last week's episode, I wonder how the game plan adjusted, because this was a last-minute addition.
That's right, and those are
like a
difficult.
week or two, so it's a little tougher to game plan for that going in. But either way, got the W. Congratulations to our guy out there. Weekend Trav, that kind of recaps what we've been looking at over the past week on the boxing front. Anything ahead that we're looking forward to over the next week or two?
Yeah, we got Triller just announced. There's actually 2 things. And one has to do with Tyson and Holyfield, but I'm going to touch on first.
Oh, yeah.
I'll touch first with the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I believe that fight is April 17th, if I'm correct. And they just announced that fight is going to be in New Orleans.
Mercedes?
At the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Mercedes-Benz
They're
Center?
going to have
What do they call that?
That massive stadium is going to have a whopping 200 fans.
I think it holds 74,000 fans.
200 because of this plague that we're encountering. 200 fans
Still going on.
in attendance.
But they're going to do something really, really cool with that. I guess they're going to do some kind of a giveaway for 200 fans. It's going to be 100 fans, and you have to sign up and do these 3 different things, like Triller, share this thing, and then give a story of why you deserve these tickets, and they're going to make a big deal about it. It's a pretty cool thing, but there's only going to be 200 people there.
You each get your own section.
Yeah, of a 74,000 seat arena. You literally get an entire section.
And so here's the complete reversal of that. The month later, when we're talking Canelo going to AT&T in Dallas, and how many fans they're bringing in? Now it's a giant stadium, and they're still not going to capacity, but 70,000.
I mean, capacity there's 120,000 or something.
70,000. Literally the month after.
Right next door. It's
Next
right
door.
Literally right
State
next door.
200 to 70,000. Now, what are you going to say about that?
I know. We're living in a different time. The big C.
No, I think some people are still living in a different time, and there's some of us that are like, why are we still living to this degree?
There's certain states that are like, we're going to have fights, which is also why I love it, because Texas and Florida now, they've gotten some really big fights, which is one of them was a Canelo fight. Now Florida got a Canelo fight. Now Texas is getting a Canelo fight. Vergil Ortiz fought in Texas. There's a lot of big fights happening in Florida.
I tell you what, states, if you want a Canelo fight, since he fights basically every month, it feels like, if you want a Canelo fight, open your doors and let people go into your stadium. You're going to have a Canelo fight.
By the way, let's touch on that a little bit.
Okay.
I think, and I said this 3 years ago, the one fighter that I think has the best chance at beating Canelo is Billy Joe Saunders.
We'll see.
He's a lefty. He's slick. He can fight. He can box. He's smart. And if people don't believe me, I want to tell them to go back and look and watch the Canelo versus Erislandy Lara fight. Okay? He's a lefty. He's slick. Cuban fighter. Knows how to box and move. Gave Canelo won that fight, but I've watched it multiple times. There's an easily can be made a case that Canelo lost that fight. Erislandy Lara, watch it, people. Look it up, YouTube. Watch the entire fight, start to finish. Score it. Let me know what you think, because I'm pretty sure that a case can be easily made that he lost that fight.
Right.
I even think it might have been like a majority decision. You know what? I'm going to double check it.
And how long ago was that?
It's been a while ago since he fought Lara. So, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. Canelo has come a long way. Yeah. This guy is... I thought when he fought Mayweather and lost the decision to Mayweather, Canelo's only loss was to Floyd Mayweather. And he was only like 24 years old when he fought him. But he was like 47-0 though too when he fought Mayweather. But when he fought Mayweather and lost, I was just like, I don't see this guy getting much better than what he was there. I was like, I don't see this as a learning experience for him because you're already at this level. You're not going to get much better.
That was a pivotal moment
But
in his
oh my
career.
gosh, bro. You fast forward now.
Yeah.
And I'm 100%. I have become a Canelo fan. I've said this.
That was such a massive turning point. I remember watching that like, okay. But now he's going against Floyd. So, I mean, that's a different story. Now Floyd on the downturn. But still, the boxing IQ was ridiculously up there. Probably one of the best boxing IQs ever.
100%.
So you look at that and you're like, oh, man, what's going to be the next step for this guy? And just kind of slowly but surely.
He blew me away, dude.
Yeah.
He's a different animal.
He is an
now.
animal, man. He is an animal.
So that's the thing. I'm excited for this fight. I know a lot of people are just like, oh, who the heck's Billy Joe Saunders? But I'm telling you,
it's going to be a good
this
fight.
is gonna, and that's why it's in May. It's on Cinco de Mayo weekend.
It's not going to be what the hell we
fight,
saw a few weeks ago. Whatever fight that was terrible.
Third round knockout. What is going on?
Anyways.
He just killed this guy.
So that's what's coming up here over the next couple of months.
Yep. I got to touch on just recent news. I don't know if it's believable or not, but ESPN is reporting it as well. FightNews.com is reporting it as well. Holyfield Camp says Mike Tyson rejected a $25 million offer to fight him. So at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida.
But then also at the same time, so talking Mike Tyson, he also on record recently said that on his own show, right? I'm not with Triller. I'm not doing another fight with Triller. Ever.
He did.
He said any fight I might be involved with is going to be in the Legends League.
You've been talking about this league for a bit.
So
maybe that's why he turned the offer down.
And that could be why. Who knows? I think that still has to play itself out a bit. Holyfield is continuing to be very vocal. His camp's being very vocal. And he's putting out the same way we were talking about Tyson probably back in July, August, about, wow, have you seen this guy? He's working out. He's really putting forth the effort. He's looking good. Holyfield's now doing the same thing, right? So we're seeing that now.
That fight sells.
Stop twirling that thing in your mouth while I'm talking to you. Jeez almighty. So anyways.
I made eye contact with him.
Yeah.
He didn't really like it.
We don't do that. So
I did, though.
We will see, but you're right. According to Holyfield, now Tyson I don't think has responded, or his people haven't responded, nor probably will they. They probably won't care.
They don't need to openly.
But they're saying that, that $25 million offer rejected. It might have to do with the fact that we're looking. The Legends Only thing hasn't really taken off. That's the problem. I haven't seen any logistics, any platform, whatever that might be. I assumed, as most of us did back 6, 7, 8 months ago, that it was going to be somewhat partnered up with Triller somehow. That's got to be their platform, right? Evidently not.
Maybe they're trying to go a different direction. Or maybe Tyson is just like, I'm not going to give away my status, my name to you guys. So maybe he's bidding. Maybe Tyson's just bidding. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's bidding. He wants Triller. He wants DAZN. He wants some television network.
Maybe Trump's new platform that he's coming up with in the next few weeks. Who knows?
Oh, my gosh.
The world is a different... Listen, the world's a different place than it was 8 months ago, Weekend Trav.
You know, it is. And I'm going to say this. We all know that I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
I'm a proud and moderate conservative. I am. Hashtag America. But I think, honestly, the best thing that ever happened to Trump was when he got kicked off Twitter. I don't think that they should be allowed to do that stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, I think Twitter was his downfall. I think that it cost him a lot. Because the main thing that most people, even the moderates, who honestly... if he wasn't ripped off in the election, and it was true, the moderates are the ones that didn't vote for him. They didn't like his tweets. If you talk to anybody, that's like some of the first thing they say. They're like, we didn't like his tweets.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, Twitter might have did him a favor, but maybe they should have did it a little sooner, and we would have still had him. But maybe we wouldn't have. So what I'm saying is, this new one that he's got coming out, he said he's going to come out with his new platform in 2 to 3 months.
He didn't specifically say it. One of his people said it.
Yeah. So who knows? There's so many rumors with this guy. I don't know if it's a good thing for him.
I don't know. I don't know either. I'll go back to one of your statements. I think Twitter should have the ability to do that. I just don't think they should have the certain provisions from the federal government that give them certain tax breaks at the same time doing so. They're a publicly traded company. I think that they have the right to somewhat monitor their platform, because I'm sorry, American people and whoever else is listening, it's not a free platform. There's advertisement revenue. It's a publicly traded stock.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
not a voice of free speech. Give me a frickin' break. Neither is Facebook. Get over it. That doesn't exist, okay?
Not anymore.
It's a whole. So I think
big tech.
All those companies should be allowed to do whatever they want. But that being said, they shouldn't have certain protections from the government, tax-wise, things like that. Anyways, that's a sidebar.
But
topic.
Also, like, I see what you're saying for sure too. But I also see that there's an overwhelming amount of conservative voices
yes,
that they have silenced, and that's what I don't agree with. If you want to do it across the board,
right,
then you need to enforce it evenly across the board.
Yes and no. It is biased, and you and I agree politically, but from the business standpoint, listen, if their investors don't like it, they'll show it to them by way of selling their stock. Have we seen that? No.
Twitter's still doing okay.
So they can do whatever they need to do, but my problem has to do with the I can't remember the name of it. I should know this, but I've been drinking. But whatever provisions they have from the government that give them all the sorts of freedoms.
Section something or
yes.
Section 1 something, yeah.
That the freedoms that other businesses, other media companies, because they're that's right. That's what it has to do with. They have certain. Anyways, I don't want to get on too much of a sidebar here. I just think they should be allowed to do what they have done, but be transparent about it and not get certain breaks from the government.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes kind of a murky water.
Yeah. Well,
but for any right-wing person to cry about it, okay, well, you're still using the service.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
Well, but to be fair with those people too, they shut down Parler, which is where they went.
That's a different story, but that's a different whole thing. Yeah.
So people all of the right-wingers were like, we're going to Parler, and they were there, but then it got shut down, and I don't think it's going to get opened either.
But that also has to do, in my opinion, the problem with all that had to do with that provision that they have.
Yeah, and that provision, you're right. That provision actually also gives them the ability to act as a publishing company, but yet they're not a publishing company.
Correct.
So I think newspapers should be pissed off about this because they're getting treated under different rights because they're a publishing company. These people are not, but yet they're editing and publishing people's thoughts and people's things and what they can share. Yeah. So if they want to be a publishing company, and start editing and whatever, monitoring people's stuff, then let's let them be a publishing company and go by different set of rules.
Yep.
That's fair as well. So I don't know, man.
So that therein lies the problem. But you know what?
You knew this was going to happen eventually with social media.
Of course. And and guess what, everybody? It's going to flip the other way too. Just give it time.
Yep, it will. It always does.
There's certain elements of me that I'm a conspiracy theorist. You know, I read 1984 and I'm like, that's probably what we're looking at, and down the road it could happen. It's going to happen to all of us. Our narratives, this show, we're already
shadow banning.
How do you shadow ban it even further?
I mean, it's unless we get negative views. Is that possible? That's going to be the next thing. They're going to have to start and they're going to do views and they're going to be like, these got negative 500
I'm just
views.
waiting for the moment that we just this thing just gets shut down. We've been pretty calm on the political side after the election, but it's like, you know what? It doesn't take rocket science to look around and say, certain people are being shut down. These companies have a lot of control, and it could flip the other way. It could flip on everybody easily. The world is kind of an upside-down mode right now. Crap is happening in our borders and crossing over our borders and all sorts of stuff going on. We're in kind of a calamity.
Let me throw this by you because this all just happened. And this is why I say it, because Facebook and Twitter has these things called fact checkers now. Fact checkers,
who
right?
are those people?
So Washington Post is one of the things they reference certain articles, right? Well, the Washington Post just came out with a false story they did on President Trump in the impeachment scandal, where they said that he called this Georgia representative and said all this stuff that he actually ended up not saying 100%. And did you know that in the impeachment hearings, they referenced this same phone call that they lied about?
Yeah, but we can Trav. It doesn't matter. He's a racist misogynist.
Like
That's what it always
blows
goes.
my
It always goes
mind.
back to that stuff, though. Doesn't matter.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
But even though he wasn't racist before we went into office, but after he goes into office, boom, everybody hates him. Oprah loved him. Oprah used to love him.
I'm just saying. And
Become
now,
president, hate you.
and now we have the other guy in there, which whatever. They're gonna replace him. That's bound to happen. You know this.
Do we got to talk about it?
Well, I don't like seeing any of this stuff. I don't think it's good to see any weakness in the American president.
Yep.
And we're seeing that left and right, and I think it's a farce at this point. And we are coming across weak to the rest of the world. Now maybe there's a problem in that we need to feel like we're superior or whatever else. That's a different debate, different conversation. But the fact of the matter is that they've put this man in this position, or he was voted into this position. You can tell the writing's on the wall. No one wants to say it other than one side of the aisle. He's going to get replaced, and it's going to be Kamala. Fine. Just do it. Just do it already.
Listen, and I agree with you. The most recent news was he was falling up some stairs as he's getting on Air Force One. I didn't like it when they talked bad about Trump either, because I wanted to look strong for the world. So when our own media always talk negative about Trump, I didn't like it because of that. So again, I don't like it that we talk negative about a president. Oh, I don't. But the only hypocrisy that I like to point out is the fact that Biden, in his own words in a video, just like not long ago, he was making fun of Trump when Trump was at a rally. Trump was walking gingerly down a railing and holding onto the railing, all funny like. And Biden's like, yeah, this man can't even walk down a rail, and I'm up here running upstairs. So I just want to point out the hypocrisy of the media. They did it. They attacked Trump, and they highlighted that. Yep. And they also, when he first got into office, the media was all over him about not being fit for office, right? The guy's sharper than Biden. Let's be honest. He is.
Mentally,
clearly, cognitively, the way he speaks, the way he remembers stuff. As much as Trump is divisive and he does come across very negative a lot of the times, the guy was sharp. Mm-hmm. The guy never fumbled things. If he wanted to say something, he did. And the fact is, he went off cuff a lot. Right. And he was fine. Biden, it's scary because other countries are seeing this. They're seeing this. When I watched that video of him falling up the stairs, I'm not even kidding. You can ask Irina. I watched that video. Bro, I felt bad.
I don't like to see it.
Because I looked at him like he's old enough to be my grandpa, and I was like, I wouldn't laugh at my grandpa for falling.
It's like a certain group of people.
So I didn't laugh.
A certain group of people think that we're immediately going to make fun of that. No,
not at all.
My reaction was, oh my gosh. I mean, this isn't good. I felt bad,
I felt really bad.
And then they're saying it was strong winds and stuff. Come on.
No, it wasn't.
Come on.
Everybody knows.
Just flip the switch on the plan, switch them out, and just be done with it.
I mean, let's be honest. I've fallen upstairs before.
Sure.
I have. I remember in high school, I fell up the stairs a couple of times. Like literally in high school, I'm like 17 years old. So it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, he tripped up some stairs. It was just like I said, the more hypocrisy of it was the fact that Biden literally called out Trump for walking gingerly.
But it's also in combination, Weekend Trev. It's in combination with all the other stuff, or the lack of stuff, I should say. When's there going to be a press conference?
Yeah, it's coming up.
You got to telegraph that how many weeks in advance?
I don't get that.
Trump did it.
I do get it
on the fly, on the way to Air Force One, on the way to the helicopter. He would have hour-long sessions answering questions, getting grilled. It blows my mind that we've gone from polar opposites in many ways, and the communication with the public is a definite polar opposite where we're at now. We're all left in the dark right now, but I think we as American sheep in a certain case, a lot of people just like that. They like to just have the wool pulled over their eyes and just go about their normal daily lives and not care and not want to care about what else is going on in the background. That's where we're at.
I think you're right. I think that's why a lot of people ended up. Well, that's for one. That's why we're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic, meaning we elect officials to speak for us.
Sure.
Which means me and you, we're busy in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
You're raising your family. You're going to work every day. We don't have time to worry about taxes, government, legislative, things like that. We don't. That's why we hire these guys too. And when Trump got in office, he blew it all showed everybody, guys, look at all this stuff that's going on. We got to do all this. And he highlighted a lot of it for the good and for the bad.
Yeah.
And I think what most people ended up wanting to do is you know what? When Biden got elected, I think they're just like, sometimes I don't want to know everything.
Sometimes
I want this guy to tell me something good, even though it's a lie. He's just massaging us and being like, we got this. It's okay. We'll take care of it.
I just think people wanted the quote-unquote status quo, which isn't status quo. They wanted the stimmy check. They're getting the stimmy check.
That's going to run out. It already is going to run $1,400.
That doesn't last very long.
It's not
but either
long.
way, it's going to tax my children and everybody else.
Yep. They're kicking the can down the street.
And we're going to see inflation, at some point really accelerate. Not yet, but it's coming.
Yep.
That's the financial hat. It's not yet, but it's coming. So I don't know, man. It's pretty sad times right now. I hope they really get things kind of back on track, or at least communicate effectively with the public.
More transparent.
Or just make the switch already. We know it's coming. Just make the switch. Just make the switch.
I think it happens before the end of the year, and I said it when it happened.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens before school starts.
I think that I would be highly shocked, and I will eat my words on the air, that if he doesn't get replaced by Kamala. I will be shocked.
No, that's what they would do.
I don't think he spends 4 years in office.
No,
I just don't. And
and
honestly,
I don't wish ill on anybody, and especially our president. And I don't agree with nearly any of his politics. I would rather see him succeed. I want any president to be successful, because that means we're being successful, our country's being successful. I might not agree with all the political rhetoric and all this stuff. I didn't agree with everything Trump did either.
Yep.
But I had this conversation at Price Boxing on Saturday with a couple of people, and that were it was kind of me, someone that was a little more leftist, someone that was more centrist, and I flat out told him, I said, listen, Trump was actually the perfect politician at the time. He riled everybody up. He riled a base up. He got elected.
Yep.
He got elected just like a politician would.
Yep.
And he sat in
claiming
office.
that I'm not a politician, but he did
was.
It. Yeah, he was.
He was.
Yeah.
And him and everybody else up there, they do the same thing to us. They make all these promises. They do all these things. They politic. And then they get up there, and then what happens?
There's a logjam in Washington, D.C. Nothing usually happens.
Because as long as they turn us against each other, they stay in power.
Yep.
Do we not see that?
George Washington, one of the founding fathers of this amazing country, hated the two-party system, which is Democrat-Republican. Hated it for good reason, because it pits one side against the other side, when really we're all supposed to be we're called the United.
Yeah.
I think people miss those words. They just hear USA. We're the United States. But how united are we?
And unfortunately, the general public, it's hard for the general public to comprehend more than just two choices. When you have more than two choices, think about it.
It muddies the water.
You go to Taco Bell, what the heck do you order? It's all the same food for the most part, but what do you get? There's too many choices. Weekend Trav?
B-Money. Taco Bell is just not good food for you.
But we've had it together.
We have.
Okay.
We think it tastes good, but my point is it's not good for us.
But my point is, when you look at the menu and you're like, oh man, what combo do I get?
What trash food am I going to put in my system tonight? Because we've done that post-show.
Do you want the tortillas with meat, beans, and cheese on it? Or do you want the tortilla with meat, beans, and cheese in it? Or there's the crispier tortilla with stuff on. We have too many options. So we as the American people, when we have more than two options, it doesn't work.
It confuses us.
The people on top know this. They know this.
And that's also why when Trump left office, they were like, oh, he's going to start this third party. Trump knew it.
I thought he would too, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it's not. But because Trump knows it, if he does that, Democrat Party stays together, which is massive. They got 80 million votes, supposedly, with Biden.
Yeah.
They got 80 million votes, right? You got 75 million votes. If you split away from this party, there's going to be Republicans that stay there. You're splitting the party.
Yeah, and we figured that. But unfortunately, if we ever want a third party, it has to happen. One of them has to do it.
We're years away, but it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen eventually, but we're years away.
I don't know.
We're decades away.
I think we just continue on the track we are, and it gets just a little bit worse, and a little bit worse, and a little bit worse. And before we know it, hello, comrade. I'm just kidding. Hopefully it never gets to that point. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's sad times. I want Biden to be successful. I would prefer it if it was, whoa, your little banner just fell. No! So I want him to be successful. I just don't think it's going to be him, and then I'm going to hope that a Kamala is going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old adage when Trump when Trump got elected, I remember talking to some people and some moderate people that were like, I didn't vote for Trump. They're like, but I want him to succeed.
Yeah.
And they gave me the example. They're like, listen, he's the pilot flying the plane that we're all on. Are you going to root for him to crash?
Why wouldn't you want the leader of your country to be successful?
I do. And I
honestly,
said that.
it's not even just that joker. It's everybody else up there. But they're messing with us. We vote these people in because we think they're going to be a representative voice of what their constituents have to say and what they think. They're not. They get in that seat and then they vote the way they want to.
They vote whichever way lines their pockets the best.
If Joe Schmo senator says, you know what, my state really doesn't like this and they really don't want me to vote this way, they never do that. They say, I'm still going to vote the way I want.
You know, the crazy thing is that this is what I don't like about government, how much power they have, is while all this coronavirus stuff was going on, the government made businesses close down.
That's not good.
Okay? When that happened, I'm like, okay, well, how's the government still doing? They're closed down right now, too, because if a whole country's closed down, they were closed down. They were in session because of the coronavirus, but their pay.
They got raises.
Their pay.
Twice.
Never once was affected.
No, it went up.
They made full amounts,
It went up.
full benefits, and in the process of coronavirus, they couldn't agree on passing this COVID package when Trump was in office. They delayed it on purpose for sure, so Biden would get credit for it. But they all voted to give themselves raises.
I know, but see, these are
why
the
are
things,
any of you guys fight?
But
You
see,
never
these are the
heard me
things that
fight.
these are the things people, like, even if some people just know it and they know it and we're pissed. Like you and I are pissed about that. There's other people that know it, but they're like, well, I got my stimmy. They don't care enough. I don't think anyone cares enough. It's never going to get better. I'm being pessimistic right now.
Very
Weekend
pessimistic. Yes, you are.
How's it going to get better?
I mean, and so listen, you're right, but that's also one of the reasons why I thought Trump was going to change the landscape of politics forever. I thought we were going to start slowly getting guys that weren't politicians, even though Trump ran on the fact that he wasn't a politician. Because one, he wasn't going, because he never served office. However, you're right, he did conform. He ended up being a politician because he did what politicians do and he politicked. So he did. I thought we were going to eventually, if it wasn't him, I thought we were going to get these new group of people that are going to come in and not be politicians. But what ended up happening was we elected the most establishment guy that we've ever had. 47. He's been in politics for 47 years. Yeah. We elected him to do exactly what they've been doing for 50 to 100 years. Biden and all of his whatever, he's not changing anything. Mm-mm. This guy is who we think he is. He's going to continue being a D.C. guy, a Washington, D.C. politician, and go down that route.
Well, I don't think it matters anyways. He's just to me he's there.
An establishment guy. Establishment runs him.
But to me he's just there as the figurehead. He's not pulling the strings. So.
I don't think so. He doesn't even know half the crap he's signing. When he was signing executive orders, he was like, "What am I signing?"
I mean,
trust me, don't worry.
Are we wrong? Are we wrong? If you're still listening to this point, comment below or say something. Are we wrong? I mean, now then the flip side is, well, why don't you and other people that don't like it do something about it? Yeah, I'm kind of busy.
I mean, that's why.
Yeah, I've got my own stuff going on.
Especially now. But that's why I think now more than ever, the government did this, because now more than ever, we need the government to help us through this hard time. So a lot of people now are like, oh my gosh, like, government, help us, please. Things are shut down. People are dying.
Here's what happened. A year ago.
Mania.
Basically a year ago to the day, when everything went on this stay-at-home order and all this stuff all over the place, there wasn't enough pushback. It was almost like a test. Let's see how much the public pushes back.
Even the conservatives didn't.
Other than a handful of cases of things, it wasn't like in huge enough droves.
It wasn't.
There weren't riots on the street. There weren't anything like that with regard to COVID. There were other ones upcoming. But there wasn't any real pushback with us being forced to home because we're freaking lazy. We're a lazy population. We wanted stuff handed to us. We wanted some time off. And I'm speaking very generally. I get that. There's other exceptions to that.
It's psychology, though.
Yes. But ultimately, it was spun in such a way where we're like, yeah. And no one really, other than, I wish my kids were in school, and I want to do this and that. No one did anything. They're like, oh, toilet paper's out. There weren't people
Crazy.
marching down the street saying, open my frickin' business up. Let us operate.
Not enough. There were some, but like you said, not
Barely.
enough. There wasn't
Barely.
enough. They didn't band together, and they know this, and that's why all of this stuff keeps happening. There's an old thing. It's a psychology. So you go to a national park, and they will tell you, it's on the wall, like there's posted signs that says, please do not feed the animals, the wild animals, because if you start feeding them, they will become reliant
absolutely.
on your food and literally die because they will stop hunting their self. It's psychology 101. So I want everybody to think about that. You go to a state park, government officials have made these signs because it's psychology, it's correct. You go there, if you start feeding these animals, hand it out, give them food, right? Make them dependent on you, and then you leave, they die.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no different psychology than we're talking about right now in this government. Don't you dare go to work. We're going to take care of you. We're going to give you STEMI money. We're going to give you all these benefits. We're going to extend unemployment benefits. We're going to extend benefits for you not to work. There's people sitting at home right now, B-Money. In New York, I remember there was waitresses there that couldn't work, right? They are now making more money at home than they were actually making while they were working.
Yep.
There's multiple cases, and these people, what's the motivation for the app? For me, I know my motivation is I always want more, so I don't care what they say, I want more. But what's the motivation for the average American who is sitting at home making more money than they made when they were actually going to work?
And I think
because of a pandemic.
There was eventually pushback on that to a degree, and then you started seeing some doors opening up. I think especially on the hospitality side, we saw it more here. And shockingly enough, we opened earlier than most.
Way earlier.
I don't know, man. I think when we look back at this time years from now, there's going to be a lot of case studies, a lot of stuff, and we're going to see how we got sidetracked as a nation and had to now bring ourselves back up to being the top powerhouse again in the world. I don't know if we're there right now. It is what it is. But to your point, the National Geographic thing, you're right, because we kind of just all played that part. We all kind of played that part of being an animal. But as the song goes, you and me, baby, ain't nothing but animals.
Because we're going to do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Say it again.
And I'm pretty sure that's what the U.S. government was thinking. With that, we're going to wrap this thing up.
Let's put a bow on it.
Let's put a bow on it. Weekend Trav, I think they've already just blacked out our channel. But give me some final thoughts.
We might be banned from YouTube.
We're banned from everything.
Everything. Listen, final thoughts. I think that all of us need to just overall, minus the government, we all just need to be kinder to each other. Work hard, be kind, help your neighbor out, help them out when they need help.
Yeah.
This is back in the day before we had welfare, before we had all of these systems set up that the government set up, right? What happened when you lost your job 50 years ago, 60 years ago, before unemployment even existed, right? Your neighbors or your communities helped you out.
Yep.
Churches, things like that. Let's get back to that. Let's stop relying on the U.S. government and giving them that kind of power. I mean, it's like we're begging for a $600 stimulus check of our own money we're paying them.
I would love
to
see.
get back.
I would love to see poverty rates back then versus where they're at now. Because I'm sorry, there's poverty still everywhere. There's homelessness everywhere. And how much money are we funneling through the government in order to help ease those burdens?
Speaking of which, I just posted this and saw this, that Biden just got $84 million from Congress to pay for hotels for illegal immigrants down on the southern border to house them.
They got to put them somewhere because they're flowing in like crazy.
But that's my whole thing too.
I
It's like
know.
if we have laws, cut them off right there. Hey, turn back. Like what?
But that's my point. No one, unless you're front and center with it, no one wants to know it. They don't.
Who's giving 84? Where's that $84 million coming from?
Oh,
us.
It always comes from us. Anytime the government says they're doing this project or that project or giving this money to some other nation, it's all coming from us.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
No. So, final thoughts.
That was it. That was just be kind to each other. Do your best. Work hard.
ELE.
ELE.
Everyone love everyone.
Everyone love everyone. My favorite saying that I've said multiple times on the show. Again, that'll be my final thoughts.
I know
is ELE.
these are. I know we talked boxing for most of this, but and we got off on quite a bit of a tangent here politically, which we haven't done in quite some time. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see things unravel as they are. You may agree with it, and that's fine. The thing is, you're entitled to your opinion. Okay? I'm not going to say you're flat out wrong. I can disagree with somebody, and we can then walk away from that conversation in disagreement. It doesn't mean I hate you. However, I think the government wants you to think that I hate you, and that they want me to think that you hate me.
Yep.
And maybe you do, and you shouldn't, because I'm a nice guy.
B-Money is pretty nice.
Ultimately, I think that's my final thought. Don't hate me because you ain't me. I'm a nice guy. And very, very fresh beer, though I don't really, other than when I was in Chicago, I don't really drink beer anymore.
Don't forget, don't hate on the onesies either, guys.
So props to Crushed by Giants Brewing in Chicago.
Oh, also, let's give a prop real fast to our
Michters.
drink.
So we're drinking, this is going to be the final closing
Brought
thought.
to you by B-Money.
We're drinking a Michters small batch Kentucky straight bourbon. Very good, a little hot. And by that, it's just...
I didn't get the same spice you got, though. My palates are definitely different because I didn't get the same spice.
We have an ever-evolving palate at the table. I like it, okay? So don't get me wrong. I just need a little bit of water to cut it down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this bad boy a 6.5. Which is still a good score for me.
Very good score. I'm going to go ahead and give it one of my favorite numbers. 6.9.
Yeah, I
already knew.
I was already writing it.
He started writing it down.
So that's
6.9.
So that's a 6.7 average from us. That's the Michters. There you go. Thank you very much.
Kentucky straight bourbon.
Anyways, Weekend Trav, it's always a pleasure. It's been a blast. I would say it's been fun. Hasn't been real fun.
Wait. It's been fun. It's been real.
But it hasn't
been real fun.
Well, I jacked it up. I'm old. I don't know what goes on with these this Insta Talk and this
Snap tweets.
My face. Is that a thing?
No. FaceTime. I don't know.
Google Plus a thing? Was that ever a thing? Okay, so that's it. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe below. Hit it with whatever you got, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. Wait, your finger.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Well, I mean, I said 6.9, so my mind was somewhere else.
Thank you to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. That there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B-Money, a.k.a. producer.
Thanks for joining us. God bless.